tutti, buongiorno. Vi ribadiamo che è un'intervista che ci sarà in inglese, però è comunque una grande opportunità per condividere la visione con due presidenti di club molto, molto importanti per quanto riguarda l'industria del calcio. Allora io do ancora il benvenuto al presidente dell'Olympique Marsiglia, Pablo Longoria, al presidente del Como, Mirwan Suwarso. Today we're going to go deep down into the world of two executives of clubs that are very important for our world today, for the football world. So, President of Olympique de Marseille, Pablo Longoria, welcome.
Thank you very much. Hello everybody.
How did I say it? Did I say it right? Did I pronounce it right?
It's a good pronunciation.
Nice, thank you very much. And President of Como, Mirwan Suwarso, welcome.
Thank you.
So basically, the two clubs are doing an incredible work when it comes to looking to the future. You know, you're doing a great job, and everyone is giving that to you. So let's start by President Longoria. You recently outlined a 3-year plan to bring Olympique Marseille back to Champions League. So how are you planning to do that? And also, you know, it's a slow growth, you know, I believe, but you have to meet also the ambitions of the fans.
Obviously, in Marseille, it's a very particular environment, especially because you have to count with a huge fan base. If we take the numbers of UEFA, we are dealing with 26 key ultras. That is the maximum number, maybe with another clubs, but it's a thing that is amazing, obviously, of having this. How to deal with a 3 years plan, that finally is a thing that is quite important, especially on how to develop the business, how to, as well, from my position as president of the club, CEO, is how to sell to the owner, how to drive the club during 3 years. And obviously, we created a plan that is based especially, first of all, in the sporting result. That is the most important thing. Based on this sporting result, that is a qualification for Champions League each season, and trying to position the club in this knocked out round after the first league stage. And obviously, it's always having this in consideration of a sporting result with, and this is very important, financial sustainability. That is a thing that right now in modern football is quite important. As well, it's important to know, and this is a thing that I always shared in all the different panels or in all the different forums that I have the opportunity and the pleasure of being in, is about what is the social contract that you as president of the club you signed with your fans, that they are giving you a gift, that is their passion, and you need to be a steward very clearly on this. Obviously, for me, football is a circular economy. And a circular economy, obviously with the football in the middle, because finally you need always to protect football. That's the reason that we hired Roberto De Zerbi. We have a very good sporting department right now, led by Mehdi Benatia, that he used to play as well here in Italy. A lot of Italians in the club, but at the same time, you need to develop all the different verticals in football. That for me is very clear that there are 4 main verticals in football. First of all, is the trading for us. Well, we decided in this circle to open with a very young group of players, especially in the key positions. Offensive positions, we are one of the youngest teams in Europe in the offensive side. As well, we need to develop the media rights. We were discussing a little bit before about media rights in the French league. Well, maybe we can change this topic for another one, but it's very important to qualify in European competitions right now with the actual model of European football. It's a key one, keeping this vertical of media rights, as well developing some kind of initiatives inside the club. With 2 last ones that for us, as you know, here in Italy, Velodrome is a very important stadium, so one of our main verticals is the Velodrome, and how to improve the Velodrome each season during this journey. And the last one is the commercial revenues. That for me, in this circular economy, is depending on all the other factors. And right now, we are trying to target one of the most important targets for us is the Z generation. As we have a very young fan base, we have a fan base that is massive in France. Internationally, there is a little bit of dispersion, I think, especially because we are very important in different markets like Africa. But right now, we need to connect everything with a strategy of internationalization.
Of course, and since you named him, we will go back to Rudy De Zerbi later because it's a topic we're all very attached to. There are many fans of different Italian clubs that wanted to steal him from you, but we'll go back to him. So, President Suwarso, you're president of a team that just got in Serie A, and we can see how many investments, incredible investments you're doing with the club, but still, you're competing in a competition that is really, really hard at the moment. So how are you planning to get the club to compete and get higher standings in the competition?
When it comes to the competition, I see it through things, right? There's the football, the results define everything. There's nothing I can do except providing the team with the resource that they need. So when it comes to results, the only thing I look at is the statistics, which is the X points, how much they should be, how much points they should be having, as opposed to what they have. And then we try to measure on the value of the players on our business balance sheet, so to speak, but our own balance sheet, not the one that is defined by the financial regulations, but by the metrics that we set up. Because at the end of the day, it's a business in the football side. It's something that we cannot control, not like if we were selling shoes, for example. So we can only control the value of the players. We try to develop them, control the development, and then find a way to measure the value even from they're 9 years old, to put them in our balance sheet and see that they grow over the years, wherever we may be, in Serie A, Serie B, Serie G, it doesn't matter for us, because when you look into a business goes up and down. We just have to look into a way that actually sustainable in the sense that the value grows. Now, away from the football field is where things matter. Our priority is to actually make football does not matter to the business. We have to grow the brand, not the football club brand per se, but the Como brand, and how to integrate our organization to become a part of the Como brand. And that means, I mean, we are very, very lucky. It's a small town. Some people say we are very unlucky. We only have 10,000 people in the stadium.
It's an incredible stadium, though. That view, no one else has it.
Yes, we are lucky because of that. But at the same time, our captive audience is very small. That means we have to rely from people outside of Como, from people outside of Italy. And we are lucky that a lot of people come from outside of Italy to come to Como, and there's nothing to see but the lake, and how can we benefit from it? So we try to attach ourselves to the many pillars of the Como industry, from travel and tourism, hospitality, transportation, fashion, consumer products. If we can actually develop everything correctly, the football club does not matter how it does. We just have to keep doing what they do, make sure that they do the right things, but we're not dependent on their successes.
Absolutely, and we will go back to your foreigner fans later, but when it comes to this year in particular, this season in particular, what are you expecting from the table?
I expect a miracle.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Solo un miracolo, no?
Well, sometimes it happens, yeah. But
Exactly.
you have a great coach anyway.
We do, and
everyone says it.
We hope so. We believe in him. We believe in his philosophies. We believe in the team that the squad has assembled, and obviously the rest is up to the football gods.
Of course. Let's go back to President Longoria to, continue our discussion about De Zerbi, because this is a difficult time, we might say, but he is very committed to the team. He said he doesn't even care about the money. He really wants to go ahead and manage to make something happen for the team. That is something he always said, and everyone appreciated that about Rudy De Zerbi. So what makes him the perfect coach for you? What makes him suitable?
Well, this is a good question that obviously, for me, obviously it's going an answer through how the process was and how the idea of the Zerbi. For us, we needed, after a very difficult season that we ended on the 8th position in the table, we needed something that it can be a booster for this project of 3 years, having that kind of vision. So in that way, we wanted a coach that we can keep for 3 years. Always, it's very difficult to keep a coach 3 years, and it's very nice to say it in words. After that, you need to build around it. But the most important thing with him, there are for me 4 factors that it was the key during the process. First of all, for me, is being a modern coach, an innovative coach. As I always say in all the different interviews or in all the different with all the different stakeholders that I have the possibility to discuss about him, he has a geniality and an innovation capacity that is out of order. So this is something that is amazing when you are trying to build a project, and you can attire a coach with this capacity and with this quality of innovation and also modernity. Second one that is needed in Marseille is a huge personality and a huge passion.
Right.
And loving, obviously, this game. As the Zerbi is always saying, sorry for saying this into a panel like this, I'm only living about football and cigarettes. So those are the 2 things that he has.
One is healthier than the other.
That he has right now. And in that way, the connection in the city is made through the passion. As Marseille is a very passionate city, and everybody in Marseille, as we always say, if you live in Marseille, you can like football or you cannot like football, but you love Olympique Marseille. It's like a member of the family. And there are 2 additional things, obviously, that they match perfectly with the philosophy or the vision of building a 3-year plan. First of all, Roberto is one of the coaches in Europe with the best track record in trading. That is a very important thing for the economic model, especially in the French league. And the 4th thing is the capacity that you can have through the different managers inside the club, especially with the sporting side, but as well, in this case, with me and the owner, about the personal relationship. I think that in football, we need to be back on creating this kind of personal relationship, psychology, and how to travel together during 3 years. You need a very high level of affinity with the person you are working with.
Of course. Did he manage to build a relationship with the players, a good relationship?
Since the first day, Roberto De Zerbi, he has something that is quite passionate.
Right.
When you are in a conversation with him, he has a very strong leadership. He's charismatic, and he enters very well in the brain of all the players. With all the players, that it's complicated without Champions League or also even Europa League or European competitions to hire or to sign players like Pierre-Emile Højbjerg, Greenwood, Rabiot. I think this is a hard work made by Roberto in this connection that he has individually with the players.
See, that's something about him, because everyone in Italy, when when another coach is not currently working well with the team, they're always saying, "Let's call De Zerbi." So everyone gets it. The relationship that he builds with the players and with the fans is incredibly strong. So we have to give that to him. Let's go back to Como for talking about how you, President, wanted to compare the experience that you're building with the team to the Disney model. That's something really, really interesting that we would like to discuss, because then it means you have to build a huge experience, something unique around football, and what are the key aspects of it?
Well, the parallel to Disney is not so much to the football club, but to the Como area in general. To me, the football club is like Disneyland. It's like the theme park business. People come there for the experience on game day. But we also have what Disney would call it the merchandise or the consumer product division. That's our retail division. So we In Como now we have created a separate company that manages our retail division, and they operate 5 brands that they're developing. One, only creating products for tourists, has nothing to do with the football club, but it's something to serve the Como area, selling like brands like Como Athletics Club, Como Sailing Team, that we've registered all the IPs and market within the area. The second one, we have Como Adidas, obviously. Not Adidas Como 1907, that would be the football club, but we have Adidas Como, which is our partnership in which we grow the Como brand itself, about the lake, about the lifestyle within the lake. Then we have Rude, which is the urban culture one. You're mentioning some rappers and stuff like that. This is the product that is worn by NBA and NFL athletes. So we've entered into a long-term partnership with them to create a brand that can penetrate into urban culture. And then at the top will be our own brand that we are still developing. So that's the retail element, which is similar to Disney's merchandising and licensing. Then we have the education division, which we're actually creating schools for people who actually want to spend, international students who wants to come and have football as part of their curriculum to be based in Como. Rafael Varane is very active in developing that area together with Ocean Roberts. Then we have our consumer products. We bought our first brewery this year, so we have our own beer called La Comasca, which we create and serve in the region, but obviously the goal to license...
La Comasca.
La Comasca,
Nice.
yes. And the goal is obviously to license it worldwide, to have the only beer in the world that is actually using silk filtration, so it's smooth as silk, that's the way we say it. And then we also have our media division, just like how Disney have Disney Plus, for example.
Right.
We have Como TV for our fans, but we also created Destination Calcio for people in England and the US. And I think as of this weekend, it will broadcast the Serie B rights for free, in which what we're trying to do is to bring tourists or attract people who likes Italian football to come to the site. And the goal is for them to actually be able to buy tickets to go to any Italian football club matches, and also watch the games and all the stuff for free. And ideally, we would like to manage this with other clubs in Italy. We've already started a partnership somewhat with Cagliari, in which we do joint summer camps, hopefully jump promotion. But for me, controlling the media rights is very, very important, especially the underserved markets, and how can we actually control it and help and share it with all the other clubs. It's not just for us, it's to build a stronger network. And we've also created other divisions within Como, which parallels the Disney model. We even have a ticketing division, a digital company that specializes on blockchain ticketing to allow us to create a new ticketing system that fits the Italian regulation, but at the same time allows foreign tourists to be able to buy tickets easier.
Right. So I think I lost something there. Are you going to broadcast Serie B for free on Como TV?
No, on destinationculture.com.
On Destination, okay. All
So
right.
it's our own
That was
product, yeah.
huge news. All right.
We used to do that for when we had Como TV, when we had the Serie B rights.
Right.
I could buy the Serie A rights and put it on Como TV and broadcast it for free to US and UK. I would, but it's too expensive. I wouldn't.
Of course.
We tried. We tried. Yeah.
All right. When you do that, call me and we give the news. Actually, it's really interesting what you're doing, because you're building something really international, and we need that in Italy right now. It was really interesting to see on the news that Hugh Grant was there to see a game, Andrew Garfield. Those are stars that we're not really seeing often here in Italy. So who's next? To watch a game, not to collaborate with you.
This weekend is Benedict Cumberbatch, if I'm not mistaken,
incredible.
with Chris Pine.
Okay.
So it's something that's happened organically. We've opened an invitation and people then start expressing interest. We've got people asking for tickets, particular games. Maybe they're not our fans, but they're a fan of another bigger team.
Okay.
Maybe they couldn't come to the other or don't want to go.
But they wanted to live the experience.
Yeah, I can say somebody famous who played in a movie that's set in Birmingham about gangsters in the older days, who's played, he wants to come to watch a a team, but he wants to come to Como.
Okay.
Somebody who played in a female soccer movie, who's also very famous, and then played in movies about pirates in the Caribbean.
Okay.
She's also a fan of a different team that wants to watch the game in our stadium. So I'm okay with that. As long as Italian football benefits, we benefit. That's the way we see it.
Right.
So as
That
long as
gives
they
the
watch
club
in
a
our
lot of hype, doesn't it?
as long as they keep coming to our stadium and buys our shirts and wears our shirts, I'm happy.
All right. Of course, incredible. Great job. President Longoria, since you're also Vice President of the LFP, how do you envision the league on in the next years, since it's increasing the competitiveness of the international scale?
Well, let's say that it was not an easy summer for the French league, especially because we lived a big cut of the TV rights. That this is one of the main verticals of our business. And right now, it's a question about we need to discuss. After a crisis, always there is an opportunity. This is how I feel life, and this is how I feel my opportunity inside an organization. I was part of the board. Right now, I've been elected as vice president of the league. But at the same time, I think that right now we need to think so much about the product in the French league. For me, as foreigner, as I'm not French, I'm Spanish, starting to work in France. Obviously, I had experiences in Spain, here in Italy, in England. At the moment that you are arriving to the French league, is something that you say, wow, I'm surprised about the level. And obviously, this is my opinion, and as well from a lot of coaches, in different discussions right now with Roberto De Zerbi. After 4 weeks in the league, he said, wow, I didn't feel that the championship was so difficult. And as well in the conversations with different coaches through our different league games is something that is like this, that as foreigner, you are always surprised about the league. For me, I'm being honest, I'm not here to make the competence with the Italian league, of course, and this is not my position, because I feel that between all the leagues there is a needing of cooperation in broadcasting. Maybe in the future we need to think all together with the model, but in my opinion, French league is the most underestimated league in the European landscape in these moments. You see the results of different French clubs in the new format of Champions League. They're so good at this moment, but at the same time, the quality of the spectacle, the quality of the different stadiums. But right now, we need to think all together about how to develop the product, especially because I feel that the traditional broadcasting service, and I have a lot of conversation with your colleagues in the song in France on how to develop the product, because I feel that right now we need to reinvent the product. We need to think about all the different possibilities about the product. We need to think about, okay, how can we broadcast in a different way?
Give us an example. Come on. What did you think about? You said you could find an opportunity from the complicated times. What could be an opportunity right now?
For me, there are different things. First of all, okay, why are we continue to sell the rights nationally and internationally when we can create a global product? Okay, which are the different expectations that there are in the market through the digital? How can we connect the broadcasting and the fantasy that here in Italy, okay, you are the number one in the fantasy with the Fantacalcio and all those things.
Right.
But
Yeah.
it's absolutely about how to develop together a fantasy through the broadcasting, through the participation. Okay, it's not the same thing to broadcast a game for my father or my mother, that they were always consuming football, that for the new generation, that finally it has been some different opportunities in the league. I don't know, to do it through different channels with new people, because right now we are doing football and we have the same level of broadcasting. I am 38 years old. I'm watching football since I'm 4 years old. We have more cameras. Yes, we have different perspective in the games, but the product is the same. And the way that we are connecting with the fans, okay, let's put away all the social networks, all the digital channels, but we are connecting to the fans from a purely broadcasting service in the same way. I think that we need more interaction during the games. We need as well to speak to different publics. Let's say it has to be in Brazil, they are starting to do like this. They have the traditional broadcasting for the traditional football fans. They have another kind of retransmission
one
for all
also.
the for all
Wait.
for all the young people. There is a retransmission as well for your local club. There are so many different ways on interact. And for me, the key right now is the people. They cannot pay attention during 90 minutes. I'm not here to say that we need to change football, because football is what it is, and I'm a traditionalist in the industry. I'm young, but very traditionalist. But at the same time, it's the way that we are broadcasting the different items. And for me, in the French league, we have a massive opportunity. There is also a massive opportunity through the lifestyle. There is so many mix of cultures in France. There are so many things in France that they are so much interesting. I don't know. You are in the country of the looks industry, the richest man of the world. There are so many related to this kind of industry. We are in the country of looks, and finally, there is no any kind of connection with the most popular sport that is football. This is why, with all our teams, we changed completely the arrival to the stadium, and trying to put some kind of lifestyle in our players with different haircuts, to feel this identification. There's a commercial value there that the league needs to attract with this different, because in France, you need to arrive to a younger generation saying, football is cool, for these young kids.
See, the thing is that you're right. The attention rate right now between the young people is, they're very focused for a really short period of time. So, of course, that makes it very difficult for someone who's broadcasting soccer for 90 plus minutes, plus the pre-match and post-match, to get the attention of the young people. So, also, I would like to know what President Suwarso has to say about this, because that's something that's also happening with Serie A, not only Ligue 1. How do you get more young people to interact?
I can't answer that for sure, but I can maybe take parallels from...
Maybe there's other sports abroad.
I was about to say,
Right.
like maybe from martial arts, I'm MMA.
Okay.
I look a lot at the UFC or maybe the YouTuber boxing. We promote the UFC just like DAZN does in Italy, in our home country. And what I see, a lot of the young people don't care about to watch the 5 hours fight. They watch the highlights. They watch the reactions. But the challenge is, how do you actually make that into becoming part of the monetization strategy of the broadcaster? So, I mean, I totally agree that picking the product apart into different pockets of consumer touchpoints is a very, very important method to grab the younger audience and then to collect the money. Because the other thing about young audience, from what I find, they find pride to find way of not paying.
Right.
So,
well, yeah, we know.
So how do you actually get them
We're fighting it.
to spend that money without them feeling like they spend their money?
I know.
And being Indonesian, it's something that we deal with every day. It's kind of, that's micropayments. Micropayments is very, very important strategy.
Okay.
So that's something that has to be built in, whether it's being paid from the telecommunication data.
Make them feel like they're not paying that much.
Exactly.
They're paying just little amount.
Very little.
every
Or collecting it from other commodities that they're used to paying, like their phone data, for example.
Right, absolutely. That's really, really interesting. And since we're talking about, interacting with fans, is there any event that you're planning right now for? I know. Maybe you can't say it, but maybe that's something that you're already putting down.
¿Cómo?
Yes.
No, we work with the community in a way that's led by the community.
Okay.
So we don't really have calendars per se, but usually it's defined by what's needed. So we don't really have something like that.
So apart from when the games are played at your stadium, it's not like you have an event in the city center or something like that to...
Not yet, but we usually partner with, for example, there was a kickboxing organization, they wanted something, so we partner with them, we help them with it. If there's a musical event, we partner with them, we help them with that as well. So not specifically from the football club now.
Okay. President Longoria, now we talked about your position as president of club, vice president of Liga. Now you're a member of the ECA board. What do you think now are the most important initiatives to see as the most urgent right now to protect and advance the interests of the clubs in general?
If you ask me or you ask the players, you will find the
Right.
right now
That's
you will
true.
find the same answer, right? I think right now
'Cause it's
with
really,
the-
it's really complicated, I know.
it's complicated, and we need to point always as ECA is the organization that is representing the club. So right now the main priority is how to have the leverage in the actual landscape in Europe or internationally as well on being a representative of the clubs. This is so much important as the clubs has not been always well represented in the past with the different governing bodies like UEFA, FIFA. So in this way, it is very important all the different joint ventures that ECA is signing with UEFA, FIFA, of having much more participation in all the different European or international tournaments. Second topic that is very important, obviously, is the international match calendar. That is very complicated at this moment.
Too many matches, too many games?
You know, in this way, if you're asking the clubs, and right now, I'm always saying, I would like to play more European games because I have much more revenues coming from European competitions than from my own competition in France. That is not the case for Italy, this is not the case for Spain, Germany, or England. So for us, we are getting into another model. Okay, we would like to change the model actually in French football because this is not sustainable. But at the same moment, the reality is I really depend on the money coming from European competition. So in that way, you need to find a balance that in this moment is much complicated. Me, I prefer always the quality because I think that we are losing quality in our football. I'm always putting the example of the NFL. That is a classical one and a very easy to put. That there are not so many games. You are putting quality. You are increasing the
Show.
show, everything, and this is something that is good. But at the same time, well, right now I think that we need a big discussion between all the different stakeholders. FIFPro with the players, especially because it's not natural to play 70 games. There are players that they are playing 70 games, and this is not natural for a football player. But at the same time, there are always the federations. Well, we are saying, okay, nobody's watching the Nations League, blah, blah, blah. We are not interested in the Nations League. There are so many international games, international break. Me as a club, I'm saying, well, I'm waiting for the next game. But at the same time, we need to know that there is a pyramid in football. And this is very important as well, because all this money that is going through the federations, they are going to the amateur football. And this is very important also to keep the popularity of this sport. So there is also this component that we need to take into consideration. With a third one that I consider that is so much important to have in this conversation is also the small clubs. We as a big club, I'm saying, okay, I need to play more games because I would like to develop. What about in the league, the middle size or the small clubs that they are depending a lot, as the case of Como, in the match day? Wow. If you are only playing your games in the leagues and we are trying to reduce the number of games into a league, this is complicated as well to put all those clubs into the system. So we need another kind of balance. We need another kind of economic model that we need to develop all of us together. But I think it's a much more reflection that we are playing so many games. It's about how to increase the quality and how to keep everybody in the system. And the third one, into the verticals that right now I think that they are the main topics in football, is about all the regulation around the transfer system, that we need to protect this with the last sentence about the last Iraq case, that is something that is under study for everybody, but I think that it will have implications into football, and right now we need to work, everybody of us as stakeholders, on how to be proactively active, let's say, in the protection of the model, because this is one of the key verticals of the actual economy of football and for the sustainability of a lot of clubs. So in that way, I think as ECA, we need to position ourselves on how to protect the transfer system. That is a thing that is key for the survival of a lot of European clubs.
Of course, now, since you mentioned the too many games topic, that's a really interesting topic. Everyone is talking about it nowadays. But then also the new Champions League gives a chance to smaller clubs to get to, to face huge clubs like Real Madrid, like Manchester City, like Paris Saint-Germain. Did I say it right? Also, it gives a huge chance to the smaller clubs. But I wanted to ask you: is there any thing in particular that you can do to give equal opportunity when it comes to success and visibility to the clubs of Ligue 1 at the international level? You know.
For me, it's a question about, first of all, there are three questions of developing your model for this size of clubs. Obviously, we make part of a family. Keeping the family together is something that is very important, so it's very important to think about all the different problems of all the clubs inside the family or the system or the classical pyramid of football. In that way, for me, first of all, the solidarity of the European competitions is a key topic. It has increased. I don't agree so much about how is the actual system of the distribution, because finally, okay, let's put a question. That is the case of a French club that last year they played in Champions League, that they increased their revenues, so you don't have an adaptation of that revenue model into the next season. So it has to be another kind of compensation for the clubs that they are missing the European competitions. I'm not saying it for me or clubs like Ajax, that this year me and I'm not playing European competition, but it's an important question about the solidarity. Second topic, and it's important, is about how to develop and how to protect the national talent. That is something that is important, not only for France, not only for Italy, but also for the smaller countries. It's very important to keep the talent until the age of 22, 23, because it can develop better the talent. I remember, especially 10 years ago, where I used to work for Juventus, we were scouting all the world to try to bring the best 16-year-old players. After that, the statistics says to you that it was not a good model, especially because moving a player with 16 years old, but the reality is that, I don't know, let's put Croatia as country. All the best Croatian players, they are leaving the country with the age between 16 and 18 years old. It's very complicated after that to be competitive in European competitions. And there is a point with the development of the pyramid of football that I think that the money coming, that we need to avoid this Europe in two speeds, let's say like this. There's the Europe of Premier League, there's the Europe of Champions League and European competitions, and we need to keep a balance into that situation. So for me, it's a solidarity as well from the very strong leagues that they are invading the different countries. I think there is something to do like this at the European level, just to give a better distribution for the development of the national football. Let's put an example. Scandinavia. Okay, let's say that Viasat, that is the traditional broadcaster of the Premier League in the Scandinavia, they had a boom in the last years that right now they put them in the bankruptcy, Viasat. At the same time, they were paying amazing money for the Premier League, and the Swedish league, for example, the annual revenue is almost zero. This is something that it cannot work, and it has to be some kind of compensation and solidarity between the invasion of foreign championship into the local markets. This is something that I opened this door for a discussion because I think it's very necessary in football.
Absolutely. Just last couple of questions. President Suwarso, you obviously have an incredible, I would like to say view of what's coming. So vision fits better. How long do you think it will take to get where you're imagining it right now?
In terms of where the club should be?
I mean, where you would like to get the club. When you got the club, you thought, I can make this into that.
It's already happened.
It happened,
from when we bought
of course,
it, yes.
You got to Serie A, but
where do we think
it can get, and how long would it take?
I think it's another 5 years before we can actually create Como to become the premium soccer tourism destination in the world. Because to me, trying to get the sporting achievements, it's a must, but it's so unpredictable, right? There's so many factors. As for example, today, the squad that we've assembled should be able to compete comfortably in mid-table. But when you have 8 injuries to the first team, there's nothing you can do. There's nothing you can predict. We couldn't have predicted that. I remember at the beginning of the season, we have 6 central midfielders, and I told Cesc, you have 6 central midfielders where you're playing with 2. Don't you think you should just have 4 and get? And today we only have 1 fit central midfielder, and you know we lose the right back, we lose the right wing and left wing. Unpredictable. But as the business, I think in 5 years' time we would be able to actually create an ecosystem that can benefit from the tourism market in Como, that the revenue will surpass that what we get from TV revenue in football. And once we can do that, the football can just happen as a project. Just keep it going, make it run. But everything else around it, the ecosystem is more important. I believe that's the same what Manchester United has done. They haven't won anything for I don't know how long, yet their revenue keeps increasing. They work on the cachet of history, that the success that they've got. We don't have that, but we have a lake.
Build it, right.
We have a lake that's
right.
actually so beautiful. We have celebrities coming there without us inviting them. How do we capitalize on that? How do we bring the Lake Como appeal to the world that everybody can be a part of it? That's what we have to do.
Also, I wanted to ask, since you mentioned it, are you ever going to talk to the coach, President Suwarso, I would like you to do that in the field, you know?
Never.
I mean, because it's a topic we had to touch here in Italy often with presidents interfering.
Cesc is a shareholder too. Let's not forget, he's technically my boss, right? Between him, Thierry, and Varane, the 3 of them are shareholders. So although we work very, very closely, we define the roles of what everybody is doing. We do discuss strategies a lot because it's based on, so we have an analyst team that's away from the football club. So we actually discuss strategies, especially in recruitment with Cesc. But his input is more like the most important one because he's the architect. We help him verify whether he's looking or analyzing objectively or now just with emotions. Because after a game, usually everybody is very emotional. But then the analysis, which is objective, always clarifies the opinions.
Absolutely. Last question for President Longoria. I don't even know if you can or if you want to enter that, but of course, as Vice President of Ligue 1, you would like to get, the Champions League title in France again. What did the Paris Saint-Germain do wrong so far?
Well, I think
you
from us, no,
it's
a very direct. First of all, I have to say that I'm a traditionalist football fan, you know, and let's say like this, that finally I respect a lot our rivalry. That is a thing that is quite important, and of course this is one of the main aspects in football, that it has to be respected and is necessary as well to create all this rivalry between clubs. My opinion, it will be a lack of respect if I'm speaking about one of my competitors, one of my rivals, saying you are doing that good, you are doing that bad. It's always a situation
it's
that
tricky. It's not
it's a little bit complicated, especially because I can understand that's a lack of respect coming from my side. But I have to say one thing, right? That finally it's very important for the French league that we have a very important group of French clubs competing in Europe. This is so much important for one reason, because we need to keep the 5th position in the ranking. So I hope that all the French clubs, they will do a very good season in the European competitions, especially because this position of the 5th in the ranking, they're assuring us 3+1 in the playoff for the Champions League, and this is something that is very important for our objectives.
So thank you very much, President Pablo Longoria. Thank you again, President Mirwan Suwarso. Thank you for being here, and of course, nice round of applause that is very well needed, very well deserved. Grazie per essere stati qui. Come vi avevo detto, sarebbe stato un panel molto interessante nonostante magari il problema della lingua, però grazie infinite. E thank you again.